You are intended to be in the feeling of being served. You are intended to be saturated with convenience so that you will not notice and you will not complain. And all of this shadow operation will remain hidden because you will not ask questions, because you're so busy being entertained. So it's no longer enough to just have what you're doing online, you're browsing, you're sending messages, you're sending emails. We want to know about your walk in the park. We want to know about what you're doing in your car. We want to know about your home and what you're doing in your home.
Algorithms define our lives. Which political advertisements do you get to see on Facebook? Who gets a job? Who is being released from prison? With algorithms as the buzzword, an enormous efficiency operation is being conducted, taking decision-making away from humans and handing them over to the rules and laws of the computer.
Evangelists of data are pushing this vision that we should actually sort of hand over our free will to the computers. That's freaking nuts.
But what are we surrendering to?
When you're giving over control, it's not to an algorithm, it's to a company. And until you get clear on that, you're going to be taken advantage of.
What does the world look like when algorithms determine our personal future?
What if home security was different? What if it looked different?
Well, it's a beautiful system.
Some bright engineering-oriented person discovered that the Nest security system has a microphone built into it. That microphone does not figure in any schematic. When you buy the security system and it has the piece of paper that you unfold and the schematic, or you go online to learn about it and there's a schematic, it does not show a microphone. It does not discuss a microphone. Now, why would you have a microphone there? Well, remember, what is our business? Our business depends upon extraction of behavioral surplus, scale, scope, and action. So what better device to extract behavioral surplus, especially new forms, voices, conversations, what you're watching on television, what music you're listening to, who's coming in and out of your house, whether or not you're shouting at each other over the breakfast table. All of this has tremendous predictive value. Voices are what everybody's after, just like they're after faces. So now this becomes public. There's a, hey, Google, what's up with this microphone in your security system? What does Google say? Oops, so sorry. Oh, we didn't even know there was a microphone there. Oh, sorry. Why? Somebody put that microphone there, but we never intended to use it. This is their business. To obfuscate, to misdirect, to engineer our ignorance with mechanisms and methods that are undetectable and indecipherable. And if they confront you, deny it. Deny it for as long as possible until they habituate. If there's some element that fails to get habituated, then create an adaptation. All right, we'll make sure all those microphones are somehow shut off so that they can't be used. And then wait a minute, and when no one is looking, redirect it. So there will be a microphone in something else. There will be a microphone in the in the home device or in the music player or whatever it might be. It will be back.
A child born today will grow up with no conception of privacy at all. They'll never know what it means to have a private moment to themselves, an unrecorded, unanalyzed thought. And that's a problem, because privacy matters. Privacy is what allows us to determine who we are and who we want to be.
Who we are and who will we be in this new digital reality? A reality in which we give our data, willingly or not, to both Silicon Valley and the intelligence services. The role computers play in our lives is changing. Where previously we viewed computers as a tool to help us make decisions, we now allow the computer, with the help of big data and algorithms, to take over an ever-increasing number of decisions about our lives.
You know, the way I use the word algorithm is a predictive tool. So it's a tool that predicts success.
Kathy O'Neill is a mathematician and data scientist. She worked on Wall Street for a large hedge fund which she quit during the financial crisis of 2018. Since then, she has been conducting research into the role of algorithms in our lives.
To build an algorithm, you really only need two things. You need some kind of concept of historical information, like what happened in the past, and you need a very precise definition of success. You build an algorithm with a computer, you have to make everything absolutely precise. And it's typically a sort of watered-down toy version of something that you would do in your head.
These computerized decision makers are taking over large parts of our lives. The bike route we take and who we fall in love with is today often determined by computer algorithms.
What if the measure of it working
All right, guys, here we go.
was that you never had to think about it?
There's two legal scholars, and they're at the University of London, and they analyze the privacy policy, how we give our consent to these devices, right? So they analyze these documents for one Nest thermostat. What happens is the thermostat collects data, it sends those data to third parties, and those third parties send data to third parties ad infinitum, an infinite regress, where your data is going goodness knows where. And no company takes responsibility for what the third parties that it's sending your data to may do with your data. Nest will say, if you don't want us to take your data and you don't want us to send it on to third parties, that's okay, but be aware that without your data, we will stop supporting the functionality of your thermostat. We will stop upgrading the software. Be aware that the smoke detector may no longer work. Be aware that the pipes in your home may freeze. So now the functionality of the device is held hostage to your agreeing to the privacy contract. And they say, by the way, even if you agree and we maintain the functionality, we're sending it to these other third parties and they're going to use it the way they choose, and we take no responsibility for what they do with it. All right, so now these two scholars do an analysis of one Nest thermostat, and what they conclude is that given these arrangements, any self-respecting consumer, anyone who's even a little bit vigilant about their consumption habits, should review a minimum of 1,000 privacy contracts in order to install just one single Nest thermostat in your home.
You have 3 minutes to exit.
What if it gave you time? And what you really need from home security? A sense of security.
So they start extracting data at scale. First, it's everything you do online, and then pretty soon they need more data, but then they also discover that we need varieties of data. It's not just volume, but it's different qualities of data. Well, surveillance capitalism broke through in Silicon Valley 2002, 3, and 4. It changed the bar for investment. Now you had Google making money on the basis of what I call the surveillance dividend. Now, what venture capitalist wants to invest in a firm that's, just making an app, when it can invest in a firm that's making an app plus the surveillance dividend. Let's say I put my children's birthday party photo album on the web, on the Facebook pages. What we don't understand is that the most important thing there are not the photos per se. It's the predictive signals that these companies can lift from the photos. It's not just my face, but it's allowing them to have the face so that they can analyze the hundreds of muscles in my face.
Uploading innocent snapshots on your Facebook page can have unforeseen consequences. Our faces, for example, are used to train algorithms to recognize facial features. And we have absolutely no idea what that facial recognition software is used for.
These data streams with these rich predictive signals are fed into the new factories, the computational factories, analyzed for predictions of human behavior, and these predictions are then sold. Who are they sold to? They're not sold to us. We are not the customers. They're sold to businesses, to business customers who want to maximize our value to their business, whatever it may be. They use information from our faces, which we've given billions and billions of photos to Facebook to train models for facial recognition. Those models are then sold to military operations, some of them in China. And those Chinese operations do many things, including imprisoning the Uyghur, a subset of the Uyghur Muslim population in China, in what is rightly regarded as an open-air prison, where they actually don't have to have people behind bars because they track and follow them constantly through facial recognition.
The knowledge obtained from our residual data can be sold to anyone. Facial recognition software, for instance, might be sold to a Chinese company that supports the oppression of the Uyghurs in China, or that helps track down advocates of democracy in Hong Kong. That way, our precious family photos might be used by Facebook to facilitate authoritarian regimes. And our privacy is guaranteed. Because it's not our faces that are sold, it's the residual data scraped off them.
It's very difficult to have a concept of this for a very good reason. It's not because we're stupid. It's because these processes have been disguised. They operate in stealth. They have been engineered to be indecipherable, to be undetectable, to create ignorance in a vast group of all of us that they call users. Our ignorance is their bliss. There are some things that have broken through into the public view that we do know about. So let's talk about Facebook's massive scale contagion experiments.
Massive scale contagion experiments.
And this is where Facebook experimented with subliminal cues planted in its Facebook pages that would actually influence offline, real-world behavior and emotions to see if they could make people feel happier or sadder using subliminal cues with language manipulation and word manipulation and so on. Well, when the experimenters wrote up this work in the very prestigious scholarly journals that published the results of these experiments, they emphasized two key findings. Number one, we now know that we can manipulate subliminal cues in the online context to change real-world behavior or real-world emotion. We know that we can be successful at doing this. Number two, we can exercise this power, these methods, while bypassing user awareness.